It's Tuesday. It is January the 20th. It is weather for Weather Geeks time. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're enjoying a relatively calm afternoon after a bit of a snowy morning across the valley. Now, as we talked about yesterday, roads today primarily just fine, but we did have some moderate snow for a time around midday, especially down in Columbiana County. Here was the radar during the 11 and 12 o'clock hours primarily. This band that extended from about Elwood City over in Lawrence County down through Lisbon, heading over towards Carrollton and New Philly. This band dropped local amounts of up to an inch. I saw a report of an inch in East Liverpool. This band was kind of the exception rather than the rule. Most of us didn't have any accumulation or very, very small accumulations on non-paved surfaces. But this band right here did do a little more dirty work and dropped up to an inch earlier on today. But all of this has pushed off to the east. The current radar, I'll stop the animation here, shows the last of the snow pushing across the Ohio-Pennsylvania border right now as I record this at about 2 p.m. It continues to head east. Now we're going to have a break between systems for the rest of the day today and into the night tonight. And then clipper number 2 comes our way tomorrow. Let's zoom out and take a look at where that clipper is now. That's this system right up here. This is what's going to pivot our way as we head into the day tomorrow. And this clipper has a little more oomph to it. This is a stronger system. Sometimes Alberta Clipper systems can be real sneaky in that you look at all the data and you think, someone's might get an inch or an inch and a half out of this, and all of a sudden someone gets 3 or 4 inches. I don't think 3 or 4 inches is real likely here tomorrow, but I do think we're going to allow for up to 2 in parts of our viewing area. And the timing on this one tomorrow is also a little bit trickier, as well as that has implications as far as the temperatures as well. So this pushes in tomorrow morning. In fact, let's just go ahead and look at the model data. This is going to come in earlier in the day tomorrow. Today's snow is more of a midday type of an event. Tomorrow's starts probably around daybreak, maybe around sunrise, and temperatures may be a shade cooler when it's snowing tomorrow because the snow is coming in a little bit sooner. And this could have some implications on your morning commute. I'm going to fast forward here to 7 a.m. tomorrow on the latest high-resolution NAM, North American model, NAM. Here's the leading edge of the snow at 7 a.m. pushing in from the west. So I think, this is just before daybreak. I think we're going to start to see some light snow, and with temperatures probably in the mid-20s or upper 20s, I guess I'm suspecting things are going to start to get a little bit slick on anything that's untreated tomorrow morning, right around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. If you're an early morning commuter before daybreak, 5, 6 a.m., no problems, unless you're heading well to the west. If you're an early morning commuter heading over towards Columbus or Mansfield, something like that, then you might run into some issues at around 6 a.m. But for our local area, this is primarily after sunrise. Here's 9 o'clock a.m. Snowing moderately, I suspect, in a lot of our viewing area by mid-morning tomorrow. And so the dirty work is going to happen here over a few-hour period around mid-morning during the day tomorrow. I think as we get into the late morning hours, the surface temperature is going to start to get a little above freezing. Let me bring up the latest NAM surface temperatures here. Let's see here. Let me zoom out. This blue line right here, that's the freezing line. Notice at 10 a.m. it's probably still to our south. At 11 a.m., still probably snowing. But the freezing line, which will come up momentarily here, will continue shifting to the north. And once it gets above freezing in any one spot, you're going to start to see conditions improving fairly rapidly. And I think that'll happen by noon in most spots. Another thing we're going to have to watch out for is maybe some mixed precipitation for a time in our far southern areas, maybe south of Route 30. Down in here, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we have some sleet maybe for a time, and maybe even a brief period of freezing rain. I suspect the better chance of freezing rain is down towards Weirton and Wheeling, Steubenville. But far, far southern Columbiana County, down towards East Liverpool, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if you had something other than just snow for a time tomorrow. And in fact, by tomorrow afternoon, as the precipitation exits and it lets up, it's less intense, the atmosphere might be conducive to even just plain rain or just drizzle for a time, kind of down in here, East Liverpool and points south. That's something to watch out for. But no matter what happens tomorrow afternoon, the work will be done by this system in the morning and mid to late morning. You're going to have to watch out for some slick roads tomorrow, I suspect. So as far as how much snow, we've been carrying a forecast that has about an inch or so. We've been saying, or so to allow for a little more. Here's the latest SREF model, short-range ensemble forecast. If you're new to this It's a computer model that is tweaked 21 times, run 21 times, and then each tweak, the result is depicted by a line here on this graph. The snow totals are over here on the left, and then the times are down here, which is in meteorological jargon, but I'll point the way for you here. Anyway, this is something that's helpful when snow forecasting to see the range of possibilities. SRAF has anywhere from kind of a straggler down here at 0 up to 3 inches at the high end of things. Notice there are kind of two clusters here. One at the high end, where a handful of the members of this model have 2.5, 3 inches, and then another cluster between 1/2 inch and about 1.5 inches. The mean, or the average, is this dark line right here, and it's at about 1.5 inches. It, of course, is drawn upwards by some of these numbers up here. So, I think there's some of us tomorrow that are going to see 1 inch. I guess I'm not going to be surprised at all if someone gets 2 inches out of this tomorrow. So I think our forecast will reflect that, 1 inch to possibly 2, allowing for the possibility that some of these members of the model up here have the right idea. And this is just the SRAF. There's many other models we look at to formulate a forecast, including one of the things we like to look at is a product put out by the National Weather Service showing the probabilities of certain events. It's always nice to look at probabilities when making forecasts. It's a good way to communicate uncertainty and certainty. Here's the probabilities, according to NOAA, or the National Weather Service, of 1 inch or more worth of snow out of this system. To get your bearings here, there's Youngstown right there. And Youngstown at about the 50 to 60% zone as far as the chance of more, or 1 inch or more, I should say. And your odds get a little higher as you head off to the north and east. So overall, our highest odds of more than 1 inch may be in eastern and northern Mercer County. The farther south you are, perhaps with some mixing, the lower the chances. Your chance of getting 1 inch or more down in East Liverpool, probably in the 30 to 40% range. The odds of getting more than 2 inches are substantially lower, but not super low. I mean, around Youngstown and around the 224 corridor, they're going to be in the, this would be the 20 to 40% range, spanning northern Columbiana and heading up into Trumbull. 20 to 40% odds of more than 2 inches. So not, it's super low, but also not super high. So, I'm comfortable with a 1 to 2 type of forecast for tomorrow. All right, let's move on from tomorrow. Rest of the week looking pretty tranquil. Thursday could feature some flurries. Here's Thursday. A little bit of light blue there, western PA, eastern Ohio, nothing more than flurries. Friday looks like a quiet day. This is interesting for the East Coast as we head towards the weekend. The models are starting to hone in on a nor'easter coming up the coast. Depending on the track, someone along the East Coast could get quite a bit of snow out of this. If it goes a little too far out to sea, though, this will be a near miss for New York City, Philadelphia, D.C., Boston. But the right track will result in pretty good dumping of snow for the major cities on the East Coast. Too far east for us, though. Even though this has been trending a little farther west, I don't think it's going to trend far enough west that we have to worry about it here over the weekend. If you happen to have travel plans this weekend over towards New York City, Philly, maybe even as far west as Altoona or State College or Williamsport, PA, you might have a little snow to deal with there. For us, we're going to get nickeled and dimed by the occasional flurry and snow shower, it looks like, through the weekend into next week. And we're still, pretty confident of the idea that next week will be colder than this week. Here's the 8 to 16 day temperature anomaly forecast based on the GFS ensemble model. This is a pattern that we had a lot of 2014, both in the winter and the summer. Warm in the west, chilly in the east. The heart of the cold, or the temperatures farthest from average, maybe up in New England and into southeastern Canada, but even around here, that 8 to 16 day period next week into the first week of February could feature overall temperatures, averaging out to 3 or 4 below the average for this time of the year. So what does that mean practically? I think we'll have at least a handful of days with highs in the 20s. Lows could, depending on the situation, could be down in the single digits or close to 0. Does this mean it's a snowy pattern? Not necessarily. So stay tuned on that, but we are pretty confident that next week will be a pretty cold week. That is weather for Weather Geeks on this Tuesday. I'll keep you updated on tomorrow's Clipper, of course, on social media all evening. I'll see you tonight on 21 News as well at 6 and 11 o'clock.